Hope you're doing well. It happened again to AOC. So she's been going around doing town halls and talking to people and doing open Q&As. And she is in her district at the Boys and Girls Club doing, I think it was like an open Q&A with her constituents. And she got heckled again. So let's look at what happened. I'm going to show you this video. We'll kind of stop and go a little bit with it, but it's pretty crazy. So this is her Q&A, and you can see there's a lot of people heckling her, but let's look and see what happens. She's literally doing what I just did. She is dancing and mocking her constituents as they're saying AOC has got to go. If you listen more, it's kind of confusing because they're all sort of protesting different things, but they're upset about crime. They are upset about, apparently there is some LGBTQ housing, and I don't know if you can hear it in this clip, but I did listen to another clip where a guy was saying, first of all, that's completely illegal. You can't discriminate against orientation, gender, race, any of that. You can't discriminate any government social services, but they're going to have housing for LGBTQ. And one constituent, he gets up and says, wait a second, I want an apartment, so I can't have one just because I don't take it in the... But I mean, is he wrong? Is he wrong? I don't know. So let's continue to watch. By the way, this is from freedomnews.tv, this clip.
Very classy. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'll continue it in a minute. The lights go out and she gets off the stage for just a minute. But you can see they're calling her a sellout, and that's sort of the same sentiment that we got the other week. And we'll look at that video, or just last week. We'll look at that video of her being heckled. But this is AOC ran on, from the Bronx. I'm the everyday working class. I'm the bartender. All of this stuff. And ever since she has gotten in office, she's gone completely against all of this stuff. She is the establishment. She is this new crop of almost like, it's like Instagram versus reality. Like we are not electing actual politicians. It's like we're electing influencers to do photo ops and to live in this alternate universe that is not reality. And that's why you're seeing, no matter where she goes, people are upset and they're heckling her. And it's crazy too, because it's all for different reasons. Like one person was upset because of the crime. Another person was upset because of this LGBTQ housing. In the video that we'll watch in just a minute, these people were upset because of the war, because AOC voted to send weapons to Ukraine. And they're like, hey, you're supposed to be liberal. You are supposed to be super liberal. You're supposed to be against war. And the first chance you got, you voted for war. So let's just keep watching. There's more.
Turn off, it gets a little...
Not actually.
All right, listen. Okay, listen.
What in the Twilight Zone is happening? So as you can imagine, that went viral too. She gets a little bit mocked, a lot mocked, for putting on a fake Hispanic. I don't know why she did that. And I know that she is Latina, but she doesn't, I've never heard her speak with that accent. I don't know what that was about, but people are upset. And this is what happened last week.
You ran as an outsider, yet you've been voting.
See, you see the same sentiment. You ran as an outsider, and she did. She ran as an outsider. And now she's in office. She makes a great paycheck, and it's like the first chance she gets, she goes towards the opposite of what she told people she was running on. And there's something really, really off-putting about seeing constituents that are I mean, we've been talking about New York City how long now? The crime is out of control in New York. The rent is out of control. I watched a few videos last night. They weren't even political videos, but they were just going through and talking about how the rent is just absolutely out of control and people are being priced out of New York City. So these are regular people that are really, really upset over actual real problems. And AOC is sitting there mocking them. And I honestly think she did it. She was probably humiliated and didn't know what else to do. But again, this to me is you're not fit to be in office. And what's really sad is a lot of these people, unfortunately, I don't know, maybe they've woken up, but they'll be upset, but they'll keep continuing to vote Democrat and to vote for people like AOC. Everything she does is fake. What was one of the first things she did when she got into office? She went down to the border and did that fake photo op with, the kids in the cages, that whole thing. We found out that whole thing was staged. Recently, she was out protesting for Roe versus Wade. And I don't know if you remember, but she was kind of being escorted by police officers. And when the cameras were on, she put her hands behind her back to make it appear as though she was being arrested, when in fact she wasn't being arrested. There were no handcuffs on her hand. And when people started calling her out, she, again, sort of has this mocking attitude when she's criticized or called out. She said, I was doing this for best practice. I wasn't trying to pretend like I was being arrested. First of all, that's BS, because if you're having an interaction with cops, the last thing you want to do is put your hands behind your back where they can't see them, where they're not completely visible. Also, I actually learned this from Timcast, and it makes total sense, or Tim Pool. It makes total sense. He says that you're actually trained when you're an activist, that when you're arrested by police officers, to actually go completely limp, because then you can't. Oh, so AOC said, the reason I did that, I put my hands behind the back, is because that is best practice as to not resist arrest, right? And Tim Pool says, okay, that's bullcrap, because activists are actually taught that if you are being arrested, to make your body go completely limp. Just go total dead fish, total limp, because then they can't say that you're resisting. You're not really helping them, but you're not resisting. You're just literally doing nothing. And it makes sense too, because I don't know if you've seen any of these videos or pictures of the climate activists being arrested, but they always go limp. And I was like, why are they so noodly? Why is every climate activist so noodly? That's why. It's a strategy I didn't know. Also, AOC doesn't know that that's a strategy. Those are two people who don't know that's a strategy. But again, in my opinion, this was AOC trying to make it appear as though she was arrested, right? Because she's like, she's gritty. She's down. She goes on Twitch. She goes to the Met Gala. By the way, that's another thing. Why are politicians going to the Met Gala? I could maybe see the mayor of New York, maybe. But why are Congress women going to the Met Gala? Yeah. AOC went to the Met Gala. And then she said, well, the reason I went, I wore my tax the rich dress. So I was really trolling the rich people. No, you were laughing it up. You were having a great time. You were lavishing in the attention. You were lavishing in the photo ops and just being there. And look, to be honest with you, I would mind less if politicians like her actually did the work and then went to those things. I would criticize less. I honestly wouldn't care. Maybe, I don't know, if they were actually doing their job and being honest, but she does nothing but lie. Anyway, let's listen to some more of this.
Okay? You originally voted, you ran as an outsider, yet you've been voting to start this war in Ukraine. You're voting to start a thermonuclear war with Russia and China. Why are you playing with the lives of American citizens? You're playing with our lives.
There will be no neighbors
matters if there's a nuclear bomb.
And that's true too. And they're basically calling her out, saying, you know, what does all of this matter if we're in a nuclear war? You voted to put us in a nuclear war. You talk about climate change, the Green New Deal, all of these things. The world is going to end in 12 years. Remember that? But you just voted to send us a nuclear war. So what does it all matter? It obviously doesn't matter. You obviously don't care what you think. And a lot of these policies, for instance, are shifting to green energy. Again, that is pricing out lower and middle class people. Oh, you can't afford gas? Buy a Tesla or buy an electric car. Buy a $50,000, a $60,000 electric car. Otherwise, boo-hoo. And that's sort of this elitism, latte activist, sort of luxury activist, these luxury ideas. That's what AOC represents. And this is sort of this new crop of our social justice warriors, are these kids that grew up in suburbia, that went to university, that were indoctrinated, that think they know everything about climate change, this and that. They live in these ideological utopias that have no basis in reality. And then they shame anyone who isn't on board. And what they do is they vote for policies and they advocate for policies who hurt the very people that they were put in office to represent. And now you are seeing what's happening as a result of that. Does this mean bigger change? Does this mean that people are starting to wake up? I don't know. That remains to be told, but interesting at best. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about everything. Do you think people are waking up, or do you think these are just a few one-off situations? Anyway, see you all later. Bye.